Shalom vänner, profetisk uppdatering 10 februari 2024. Angedi-rullarna kommer här en kort video senare. Söder om Angedi ligger Mesada, Klippan och i norr Qumran där man upptäckte Döda havsrullarna. En brand förstörde Angedi på 600-talet. 1965 ledde installering av en vattenledning upptäckten av den 1700 år gamla synagogan som återupptäcktes 1970. Där fann man rester av det allra heligaste och en menora. Man fann också en bränd skriftrulle som var aska, inte möjlig att känna igen, men den fördes till Israeliska museet i Jerusalem. 2015 tog man askan till det teamet som hade arbetat med Döda havsrullarna. De var ju förstås experter på sånt här. Man skannade i 3D och kunde med dagens digitala teknik lösa upp skriftrullen, alltså som enbart var aska kvar. Och efter 45 år var pusslet löst. Man hade funnit första kapitlet i 3:e Mosebok. Troligen fanns det järn i skriften, säger man, och därför fanns den kvar, till skillnad från Döda havsrullarna. Judarna ser det här symboliskt. 3:e Mosebok 1 talar om offren i templet. Offren blev till aska. Synagogan förstördes här i Angedi 9 av och brändes ner. Och här får man, som man säger, liv i askan. Och detta hände dagen före 9 av då templet förstördes. Man förde askan tillbaka till liv. Slut citat. Och läser man mer om 9 av så är ju detta ett väldigt speciellt datum för judarna. Det kallas den mörka dagen. Templet i Jerusalem har förstörts 2 gånger just på det datumet i den judiska kalendern. 586 f.Kr. förstördes templet av Babylonien. Och år 70 förstördes templet den 9 av romarna. Det var också 9 av som judarna drevs ut ur Spanien år 1492. Och det har hänt fler tragedier på just detta datumet. Och man säger också att det var 9 av som Moses slog sönder de första stentavlorna när det israeliska folket hade avfallit till avgudadyrkan och tillbad guldkalven i öknen, som det står om i Andra Mosebok kapitel 32. På den 9 av läser man i synagogorna bland annat bibelversen från klagovisorna där profeten Jeremia uttrycker detta. Vers 3. Juda har gått i landsflykt på grund av förtryck och svår träldom. Hon bor nu bland hedna folken. Hon finner ingen ro. Alla hennes förföljare har överfallit henne mitt i hennes nöd. Och efter den här dagen och veckorna av sörjande innan den kommer sedan löften. Så att man inte fastnar i sorgen över det som har varit utan ser framåt. Och då kan man läsa bland annat från 5:e Mosebok 30, vi läser från vers 4. Även om dina fördrivna skulle vara vid himlens ände, skulle Herren din Gud samla dig därifrån och hämta dig därifrån. Herren din Gud ska föra dig in i det land som dina fäder har haft i besittning, och du ska besitta det. Han ska göra dig gott och föröka dig mer än dina fäder. Herren din Gud skall omskära ditt hjärta och dina efterkommandes hjärtan, så att du älskar Herren din Gud av hela ditt hjärta och av hela din själ. Då ska du få leva. Och Herren din Gud ska lägga alla dessa förbannelser på dina fiender och på dem som hatar och förföljer dig. Du ska på nytt lyssna till Herrens röst och följa alla hans bud som jag idag ger dig. Ja, den här profetian har uppfyllts mer än en gång. Den ska också uppfyllas, kan man ju säga, en sista gång när vi läser profetböckerna och det profetiska ordet och profetiska löften till nationen Israel, till Israels folk i Bibeln. Som vi vet så finns det väldigt mycket i Israel som inte behagar Herren idag. Det finns mycket New Age, finns en hel del ockult andlighet. Vi har kunnat läsa om vad som pågick i Nova-festivalen, som är en New Age-inspirerad, alltså ockult andlighet som det inspireras av, och dessa ungdomar är ju vilseledda. Samtidigt så förstår vi att det är en andlig kamp, en väldigt andlig kamp i Israel, där fienden vill förleda in i andligt mörker och ockult mörker, men där Gud verkar och där han drar människor till sig, och fler upptäcker och vänder sig till Israels Gud, Abrahams, Isak och Jakobs Gud, och Guds frälsare, Gud frälsaren Jeshua. Och vi kallar dem ju messianska judar utifrån Messias, Kristus på grekiska, och vi kallar oss kristna, men vi är ett och samma i tron på Jesus, Guds son. Men här kommer först en kort video som visar hur man gick till väga med dessa Angedi-rullarna. Helt fantastiskt faktiskt hur Gud använder och ser till att man använder dessa digitala förmågor som man kan göra idag när det sker i positiva bemärkelser. Efter den videon kommer en annan video från TV7 Israel News, nyheter från Jerusalem, där vi får en sammanfattning av de senaste nyheterna i Mellanöstern därifrån. Och videon berättar bland annat då IDFs talesperson att IDF har funnit dokument från 2020 i Gaza som visar att Iran överförde $150 miljoner till Hamas. Vi får höra president Biden som då tar äran för hjälpen till de civila i Gaza. Vi som har följt detta vet ju att USA inte har så stort inflytande som de påstår och vill påstå. Israel har i många år sänt hjälp till Gaza och gör allt för att det ska nå befolkningen, de civila, och inte hamna hos Hamas. Israels försvarskrig mot Hamas är det som ledde till att en del av gisslan släpptes. Inte så mycket USAs påtryckningar som man vill förespegla, men vi vet att politiker, de vill alltid ta äran själva, och så fungerar politiken i den här världen. Irans talesperson står och blåljuger. Finns också med på videon. Som vanligt jiddrar om fred, och fast det är de som är Irans regim, ska jag säga, är ju den stora skurken som står bakom nästan alla dessa terrororganisationer, islamistiska. Den onda bläckfiskens huvud brukar man ju kalla Iran här nere. Och 90% av all tillförsel, alla försörjningslinjer, 90% av världens försörjningslinjer till Europa sker genom Röda havet. Och det är den näst viktigaste sjövägen i världen, säger man på videon. Och den Iranstödda terrorgruppen Houtierna i Jemen ställer ju till med sina attacker där. Tysklands fregatt Hessen är på väg dit för att försvara. Ja, vi får en hel del nyheter här och sammanfattningar. Och nu vet vi ju sedan tidigare, det tas inte upp på videon här, men man försöker ju hitta andra vägar Till exempel att frakta med långtradare genom Saudiarabien och upp till Israel och vidare. Och bara tillägg till videon innan här om Mangeddyrullarna, så vet vi ju det att man ständigt hittar arkeologiska fynd i Israel och där nere som bekräftar bibelordet hela tiden. Så det är väldigt spännande. Och spännande att se hur de arbetar. Så det får vi också följa upp en del. Men jag tackar för mig så långt idag och önskar er Guds välsignelse och shalom.
For thousands of years, people have written on scrolls. The scrolls can contain historical records, religious texts, or stories, but many of them have been damaged over time. For example, the famous Herculaneum scrolls were extremely damaged by a volcanic eruption. Scrolls can become blackened, brittle, and impossible to unroll after long periods of time. But since so many historical records were recorded on scrolls, how can we ever unlock the past? There is, in fact, a way to read scrolls without damaging them. Imagine for a moment that a baker has two types of dough. The white dough represents papyrus, and the red dough represents ink. Using the red dough, the baker can create a pie symbol on the white dough. When the baker rolls up the dough, the pie symbol is obviously no longer visible, just like when papyrus is rolled up. Imagine the effects of time and the environment are this oven, baking the pastry for 1,000 years. If the pastry were still soft, the baker could simply unroll it, but now it would break and the information would be lost. The baker can, however, slice the pastry and decode the message from the traces of red dough in each slice. Using sophisticated technology, it is now possible for the scrolls to be digitally sliced without ever damaging the scroll. It's important for damaged scrolls containing unique, ancient information to be both physically and digitally preserved. There are many ancient scrolls which are too damaged to read, but likely contain historically enlightening information. Digitization and virtual unwrapping allow us to view this otherwise inaccessible information.
Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. The IDF deepens its operational successes as it hunts for Hamas's leaders in the southern Gaza Strip. The Biden administration ratchets up pressure on Jerusalem to avoid further deepening its ground maneuver into the last bastion of the Islamist Hamas in the town of Rafah. Germany sends a frigate to the Red Sea as the United States and United Kingdom, with support of Canada, Australia, and the Netherlands, intensify near-daily aerial strikes against the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah in Yemen. The IDF continues to make operational gains in the southern Gaza Strip while in tandem clearing remaining pockets of terror in the center and northern parts of the enclave. In the city of Han Yunis, which is situated in the southern part of the Palestinian enclave, IDF special operators are further deepening their gains in subterranean warfare, gaining high-value intelligence in pursuit of the Hamas leadership and the remaining 136 Israeli hostages in captivity.
We continue to operate in order to create the conditions to bring all the hostages home. This is a moral, national, and international obligation. It is our compass, and it is how we will continue to act. IDF soldiers continue to operate in Khan Yunis in the south of Gaza and are intensifying achievements in the north of the Gaza Strip. In Khan Yunis, special units are operating in the subterranean area, together with the Israel Security Agency, using advanced technology and precise intelligence to locate Hamas strategic compounds underground. Despite the dozens of kilometers of tunnels, there are not many compounds left, and we have reached most of them. We have located compounds where Hamas leaders hid and from where they managed the fighting, some of which held hostages, and others contained intelligence material.
Admiral Hagari went on to highlight that the intelligence gained in recent days proved substantial support by the Islamic Republic of Iran to the Islamist Hamas, including its leader Yahya Sinwar.
We found official Hamas documents from 2020 detailing the funds transferred by Iran between the years 2014 and 2020 to Hamas and to Sinwar. More than $150 million were transferred from Iran to Hamas. This is another example of how Iran exports terror across the Middle East. The terror that Iran exports and produces is a global problem. The intelligence information we find, we pass on to our partners around the world for verification. In the same subterranean space, we also found a safe with banknotes and bags containing more than 20 million shekels in cash, as you can see in the blue and black bags addressed to a clear location. These amounts join tens of millions of shekels we located during the war in Hamas tunnels in cases filled with millions of dollars.
Meanwhile, as Israel's defense establishment clarified to its allies its intentions to expand its ground maneuver into the border town of Rafah, which separates between the Gaza Strip and Egypt, and is regarded as the last bastion of the Islamist Hamas. Nevertheless, in a dramatic turn of events, the United States highlighted that it would not support Israel's voiced intentions to expand its ground maneuver southward, irrespective of the operational considerations required to defeat Hamas.
I can tell you we've seen no plans that would convince us that they are about to or imminently going to conduct any kind of major operations in Rafah. I think you all know more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering in and around Rafah. That's where they were told to go. There's a lot of displaced people there, and the Israeli military has a special obligation as they conduct operations there or anywhere else to make sure that they're factoring in protection for innocent civilian life, particularly civilians that were pushed into southern Gaza by operations further north, Khan Yunis and North Gaza. I could tell you that absent any full consideration of protecting civilians at that scale in Gaza, military operations right now would be a disaster for those people, and it's not something that we would support. Secretary Blinken, in his meetings with the Israeli leaders and the Prime Minister and the War Cabinet, made clear our concerns.
Earlier, during a statement to the press, U.S. President Joe Biden voiced his opinion over Israel's retaliatory war in Gaza, which ensued following the onslaught by Hamas, which included the massacre of some 1,200 Israelis, among other atrocities committed.
I'm of the view, as you know, that the conduct of the response in the Gaza Strip has been over the top. I think that, as you know, initially the President of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. I talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side. I've been pushing really hard to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza. There are a lot of innocent people who are starving, a lot of innocent people who are in trouble and dying, and it's got to stop, number one. Number two, I was also in a position that I'm the guy that made the case that we have to do much more to increase the amount of material going in, including fuel, including other items. I've been on the phone with the Qataris, I've been on the phone with the Egyptians, I've been on the phone with the Saudis to get as much aid as we possibly can into Gaza. There are innocent people, innocent women and children who are also in badly in need of help. And so that's what we're pushing. And I'm pushing very hard now to deal with this hostage ceasefire because, I've been working tirelessly in this deal. How can I say this without revealing it? To lead to a sustained pause in the fighting, in the actions taking place in the Gaza Strip.
President Biden went on to know that he believes absent any tangible proof that the October 7th massacre was triggered by preceding prospects of normalization between Israel and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
You may recall, in the very beginning, right before Hamas attacked, I was in contact with the Saudis and others to work out a deal where they would recognize Israel's right to exist, make them part of the Middle East, recognize them fully in return for certain things that the United States would commit to do. And the commitment that we were proposing to do related to two items. I'm not going to go in detail, but one of them was to deal with the protection against their arch enemy to the northwest, northeast, I should say. The second one, by providing ammunition and material for them to defend themselves. Coincidentally, that's the time frame when this broke out. I have no proof what I'm about to say, but it's not unreasonable to suspect that the Hamas understood what was about to take place and wanted to break it up before it happened.
While President Biden sought to localize the root cause of the October 7th massacre, the Islamic Republic of Iran continues to escalate pressure in separate regions of the Middle East. In response to the retaliatory strikes by U.S. Central Command against Iranian proxies in the region, Tehran voiced outrage, warning of further escalation.
The military actions by the U.S. and the United Kingdom in the region, including military strikes in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria, as well as their continuous support for Israeli war activities, are contradictory to the rhetoric and claims of maintaining peace. The U.S. and the U.K. aim to expand the scope of regional crises and conflicts.
While cynically blaming the United States for hostilities which the Islamic Republic of Iran blatantly directed itself, the leader of Tehran's proxy in Yemen, namely Abdul Malik al-Houthi, boasted in his terror group's capacity to cripple international shipping in the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb and adjacent waterways.
واستمرت العمليات هذا الأسبوع إلى البحر.
The operations continued this week to the sea and the Bab al-Mandab Strait. The movement of ships linked to Israel has become almost non-existent. For the Israeli enemy's ships, their movement has completely stopped from the Bab al-Mandab Strait to the Red Sea, and this is a real achievement and a real victory.
In response to repeated US and UK strikes against the Houthi-dominated Iranian proxy Ansar Allah in Yemen, the leader of the Houthi tribe claimed that it would not phase his resolve.
لن يحمي السفن الإسرائيلية.
It will not protect Israeli ships, and they will not be able, through their aggression, to resume the movement of ships heading to the Israeli enemy or connected to the Israeli enemy.
هدف ساقط.
It is a failed objective, a futile objective, and that has been proven in practice by the grace of Allah Almighty and His support.
ولن يفيدهم شيئا لأنفسهم هم تحولوا إلى
It will not benefit them in any way as they have turned into a targeted force at sea and, perhaps for the first time since World War II, America finds itself in such a predicament, its vessels and warships have become clear targets.
ولربما منذ الحرب العالمية الثانية.
It is important to highlight that the United States, in a joint airstrike with the United Kingdom, alongside support of staff officers from Canada, Australia, and the Netherlands, struck some 7 Houthi targets earlier this morning. And while near-daily strikes are further degrading the Iranian proxy's military capabilities in Yemen, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder stressed that the United States does not seek further escalation.
I will repeat again that the U.S. does not want escalation and that these strikes are directly in response to the actions by the Iranian-backed Houthis. Again, however, we will not hesitate to defend lives and the free flow of commerce in one of the world's most vital waterways.
Meanwhile, amid mounting impact to Germany's economy, among other European nations, the German Navy announced that its frigate, named Hessen, is on its way to the Red Sea to join Task Force 153 in support of securing the strategic waterway against Houthi attacks.
As
we were all aware that we would enter a real danger scenario, a possible hot firing situation, we agreed from the start that we could only send an enduring and very well-trained unit, a vessel, into the region. The Hessen is this ship. There is no unit in the German Navy that is better prepared, trained, and better equipped for such a mission. Free sea trade routes are the basis of our industry and of our capability to defend ourselves. The Red Sea, and you know that about 90% of all supply lines into Europe and Germany are sea routes. The Red Sea is the second most important sea route in the world. What happens if this route is interrupted? You could see in the Ever Given case 3 years ago. A complete standstill in parts of the industrial sector with massive implications for a long period of time. The current situation in the Red Sea has already caused bottlenecks in supply and forced some companies to stop their production. This is the most serious mission for a unit of the German Navy since many decades.
Seit vielen Jahrzehnten.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News.